let's move on to method 2, which is solving by finding square roots. These are usually going to look something like this, where there's no linear term, but we'll also have some that look like number 3 down at the bottom. Okay, but you should be able to kind of get a feel for when you're allowed to do this and when you're not. But essentially what we're going to do is end up taking the square root of both sides. So in this case, what I'm going to do for the first one, 5x squared minus 180 equals 0, I could factor it, but I want to show you how to do this with square roots. So what you'll do first is get that x squared by itself. So we'll add 180 to both sides, and then we'll need to divide by 5. So then x squared is going to equal 180 divided by 5 is 36. Okay, so then to undo the squared, I have to take the square root of both sides. So then x is going to be the square root of 36, which I know is 6. But we have to be careful here because when we take the square root now, we're actually going to have to put in a plus or a minus whenever we're solving. Okay, so it could be positive 6 or it could be negative 6. And the reason that happens is because if x equals 6, then x squared will equal 36. We know that, right? But we could also have, or x could equal negative 6, and then x squared will also equal positive 36. So we have to consider the fact that that root, when we take that square root, could be positive or negative. Okay, so you want to watch out for these. You should always have a positive and a negative answer. Okay, so if you want to, go ahead and try the examples. If not, stay with me, and you can pause at any time and try them on your own. Okay, so first one, what we're going to do is add 25 to both sides first. So 4x squared equals 25. I want to get that x squared by itself, so I'll divide both sides by 4. So then x squared equals 25 over 4. You could divide that, but since they're perfect squares, it'll actually be easy to take the square root, so I would just leave it. So now we have the x squared by itself, so we can take the square root of both sides, and we'll just take the square root of the top and the bottom. So square root of 25 is 5, square root of 4 is 2, but I took the square root, so I need that plus or minus. Okay, so you could have plus or minus 5 halves or plus or minus 2.5. Same thing. Okay, and you can just put the plus or minus in front like that. That's fine with me. All right, let's try number 2. So I want to get the x squared by itself, so I'll need to add 1/4 to both sides and then take the square root of both sides. So x is going to equal, square root of 1 is 1, and the square root of 4 is 2. And then I took the square root, so I need a plus or minus. And you can go ahead and check that. If I do either of those squared, I will get 1/4. Minus 1/4 is 0. So make sure you have both of those solutions. Okay. Now number 3 is a little bit tricky. You might think, oh, okay, I'm going to have to square that out, but you don't want to. Okay. You've got this whole thing squared equals 49. So your first step with problems that look like this is to take the square root of both sides. So that's going to undo that squared. So then the only thing left on the left-hand side is going to be x minus 2. And that will equal the square root of 49, which is 7. But remember, it's plus or minus 7. Okay? Could be positive, could be negative. Okay, so then I could have x minus 2 equal to 7, or I could have x minus 2 equal to negative 7. Okay, so then I just need to solve. So x, if I add 2 to both sides, could be equal to 9, or x could be equal to negative 5. Okay, so whenever they're set up like that, where you have a quantity squared equals a number, take the square root of both sides first, and then you would add or subtract whatever's in there with the x. Okay, so those are solving by finding square roots. So our last one then is solving by graphing. Just what it sounds like. We're going to make a graph, and we're going to solve. So remember we said that the solutions are the same thing as the x-intercepts. So with graphing, we are actually finding those x-intercepts. And we are using a calculator. So if you don't have one, pause the video, go get one. Okay, you need a graphing calculator. All right, so I'm going to pull out mine. I'm going to move this up so you can see my calculator and the paper at the same time. Okay. So we want to remember, same thing that we did before, we always want to set equal to 0 first. Okay, so make sure you do that. So remember we said that this is like y equals x squared minus 5x plus 2. So this is what you're going to put into your y equals in your calculator. Okay, so you're going to hit y equals, try not to get a glare. So y equals, if there's anything in there, just clear it out. If this plot 1, like if you get a really weird graph, if you look up and this plot 1 is bold, that's bad. That means your stat plot is on. So if that happens, all you have to do is arrow up and hit enter. So just make sure that none of those are highlighted because that'll probably mess up your graph. Okay, so go down to your first y equals. We're just going to put in that equation. So we'll put in x. Remember the x is that xt theta n button, so it's right next to alpha. So x squared minus 5x plus 2. Okay, and then hit graph right there. If your window doesn't look like this, just go to zoom, which is right in the middle, and then down to number 6. So zoom standard. And that should work out for you. Okay, so it should look like this. And we're looking for the x-intercepts. So what we're going to do on our calculator to find those is we're going to hit second calc, and then we'll go to the second option, which is 0. Okay, so we'll hit second, which is that blue button. Then I guess it's actually trace. So if you look right up here, it says calc really small, so that gets you the calc menu. So second trace. And then we want to find the zeros, which are the same thing as the intercepts, same thing as the solutions. So you'll arrow down to number 2, hit enter. Okay, now this screen will come up. It'll ask you left bound. So you want to get to the left of your 0. So this one's okay. If you need to move it, you just arrow. Use the sideways arrows to go up and down. So you want to get to the left of it, hit enter. And then you arrow over until you are to the right of it and hit enter. And then it asks you for a guess. So just get as close as you can. Sometimes you can't get right on it, but just get pretty close and hit enter for the guess. And then if you look right down here, it tells you the 0 that you've just found. So we would say then x is about, or approximately, that's what those squiggly equal signs mean. That one's 0.4, about 0.44 if we round. Okay? But that is only one x-intercept, so we need to find the other ones. So we'll do the same thing. Second, I guess it's actually the trace button. Okay, right up here. And then you'll go down to 0, hit enter. Now we want the other x-intercepts, so we're going to have to arrow over to that until we're to the left, hit enter. Then go up to the right, hit enter. And then a guess, we'll say that's pretty good, hit enter. And we get about 4.56 for the other one. Okay, so we get about 0.44 and 4.56 are our solutions. Okay, so if you want to try those examples on your own, go for it. If not, stay with me. Okay, so number 1, we're solving by graphing. It's already set equal to 0, so then all I have to do is put this portion in my y equals. So I'm going to go back to my y equals, clear that out. X squared, you can do the squared button. It's right above the log next to the comma, or you can do a caret and a 2. So x squared plus 6x plus 4. Graph that. Okay, looks like 2 x-intercepts, so we're going to go second trace down to 0. Okay, I'm going to do the left one first. So I'm going to get all the way to the left of that, hit enter, and to the right of it, hit enter. And then somewhere in the middle will be my guess, and I'll hit enter. So that first one, it looks like x is about negative 5.24. Okay, and then I need the other one. Move it over a little bit. So I'm going to do second trace again to get to that calc menu. I want a 0, left bound, right there. We'll hit enter. And then right bound, enter. And then I guess it's about right there. So we'll hit enter. So then that gives us about negative 0.76. So those are your 2 solutions. Okay, one more of these. I'll keep this one over here. So this one, 3x squared plus 5x plus 12. It is not equal to 0, so I need to do that first. So I'll subtract 12 from both sides. Set that equal to 0. Okay, so I'll go into my y equals. I need 3x squared plus 5x minus 12. Now I'll hit graph. Can't really see the bottom of it, but that's okay because all I care about are those x-intercepts. Okay, so second trace, go down to 0. Sometimes you have to arrow to see where you are. And it tells you the x value, so I'm at negative 2.9 right now. So I need to get to the left. So that's to the left. That's to the right. That's a pretty good guess. Just hit enter in between. Okay, so x equals negative 3. That's a nice one. Make sure I put that in there right. Okay. And then let's try the other one. So we'll do second calc, 0, left bound is over here, right bound is up here, and then I'll guess it's about right there. Okay, so negative 3 and then 1.33 repeated, which is the same thing as 4/3. Okay, so that one we probably could have factored, but that's okay. We solved it by graphing. Okay, so that's all you have to do to find those x-intercepts on your graphing calculator. Okay, if you need to go back and watch any part of this, if you're unclear about something, go for it. If you think you're ready to try some more problems on your own, then go and grab a worksheet, and you're just going to do the problems that are marked. I told you which problems I want you to do which way, so it'll have an F for factoring, an S for square roots, and then a G for graphing. Okay, and you just have to do the ones that are marked on the worksheet. So good luck with those, and hope you have fun solving.